Section 3 of Hurlbut's Bible Lessons. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Hurlbut's Bible Lessons by Jesse Lyman Hurlbut. Section 3.
Part Third. From Saul to Solomon. Lesson 23. Saul as King. Tell stories 1, 2, and 3 in Part Third. Number 1. How did Saul begin his rule as King of Israel?
He began by doing brave deeds.
Number 2. What good things did Saul do soon after becoming king?
He drove away the enemies of Israel.
Number 3. Who helped Saul in his wars?
His brave son Jonathan.
Number 4. Over what enemy did Jonathan win a great victory?
Over the Philistines.
Number 5. Who spoke to Saul the word of the Lord?
Samuel the prophet.
Number 6. What is a prophet?
A man who speaks God's word.
Number 7. What did Saul do that was wrong?
He disobeyed God's words.
Number 8. What did Samuel say to Saul?
Obeying God is better than offerings.
Number 9. What did Samuel say that the Lord would do to Saul?
That he would take the kingdom from him.
Number 10. How did Samuel feel when he saw that Saul would not obey the Lord?
He wept for Saul.
Lesson 24. The Boy David. Tell stories 4 and 5 in Part Third. Number 1. To what place did God send Samuel to find a king in the place of Saul?
To Bethlehem.
Number 2. Whom did God show to Samuel at Bethlehem as the one whom he had chosen?
A boy named David.
Number 3. Whose son was David?
The son of an old man named Jesse.
Number 4. What was David at this time?
He was a shepherd.
Number 5. What did Samuel do to show that David was to be king?
He poured oil on his head.
Number 6. What did David do while caring for his sheep?
He made music on his harp.
Number 7. Who sent for David to play before him?
King Saul.
Number 8. With what people were the Israelites at war most of the time while Saul was king?
The Philistines.
Number 9. What Philistine dared the Israelites to choose a man to fight with him?
A giant named Goliath.
Number 10. Who fought the giant and killed him?
The boy David.
Number 11. With what did David fight the giant?
With a sling and stone.
Lesson 25. David and Saul. Tell stories 6, 7, and 8 in Part Third. Number 1. What did Saul do with David after David had killed the Philistine giant?
He made David an officer in his army.
Number 2. Whom did David marry after this?
A daughter of King Saul.
Number 3. How did King Saul feel toward David?
He was very jealous.
Number 4. How did Saul show that he was jealous?
He tried to kill David.
Number 5. Who loved David greatly?
Saul's son Jonathan.
Number 6. What promise did David make to Jonathan?
To be true to him and kind to his children.
Number 7. What did David do on account of Saul's hate?
He hid in the wilderness.
Number 8. How did David treat Saul when he found him asleep in a cave?
He spared his life.
Lesson 26. The end of Saul's reign. Tell stories 9 and 10 in Part Third. Number 1. What is said of Saul in the latter part of his reign?
The Lord had left Saul.
Number 2. Why did the Lord leave Saul?
Because Saul would not obey the Lord.
Number 3. What showed that the Lord had left Saul?
There was no one to help him in his need.
Number 4. What people were at war with the Israelites nearly all the time that Saul was king?
The Philistines.
Number 5. Where was fought the last battle of Saul's reign?
On Mount Gilboa.
Number 6. Which side was beaten in the battle of Mount Gilboa?
Saul and the Israelites.
Number 7. What brave man was killed in the battle?
Saul's son Jonathan.
Number 8. What did Saul do after this battle?
He killed himself.
Number 9. How long had Saul ruled as king?
40 years.
Number 10. What did David do when he heard of Saul's death?
He mourned for Saul and Jonathan.
Number 11. After Saul's death, what tribe chose David as its king?
The tribe of Judah.
Lesson 27. David, King of Israel. Tell stories 11 and 12 in part third. Number 1. How long did David reign as king over the tribe of Judah only?
7 years.
Number 2. What did the people of the land do 7 years after Saul was killed?
They made David king over all Israel.
Number 3. How did David find the land when he became king?
It was weak and in the power of enemies.
Number 4. What great city did David take from his enemies?
The city of Jerusalem.
Number 5. On what mountain was the city of Jerusalem?
On Mount Zion.
Number 6. What did David do with Jerusalem after he had taken it?
He made it strong and lived in it.
Number 7. What enemies did David drive out of the land?
The Philistines.
Number 8. What did David bring to Jerusalem?
The Ark of God.
Number 9. What did David win by war?
Rule over all the lands around Israel.
Number 10. Whose son did David treat kindly after he became king?
The son of Jonathan.
Lesson 28. David and Absalom. Tell stories 13, 14, and 15 in part third. Number 1. What wicked thing did King David do?
He caused one of his brave soldiers to be killed,
Number 2. For what purpose was this done?
so that David might marry the soldier's wife.
Number 3. Who came to David and told him that he had done wickedly?
The prophet Nathan.
Number 4. In what story did Nathan show the king how wickedly he had acted?
In the story of a little lamb.
Number 5. What did David say when Nathan spoke to him?
I have sinned against the Lord.
Number 6. What did Nathan say should come to David because of his sin?
He should be made to suffer.
Number 7. What son of David tried to take his kingdom from him?
Absalom.
Number 8. How far did Absalom succeed?
He drove David away from Jerusalem.
Number 9. Where was the battle fought between the men of Absalom and the men of David?
In the wood of Ephraim.
Number 10. What happened to Absalom in the battle?
He was killed.
Number 11. What came to David?
He reigned again as king.
Lesson 29. Solomon. Omit story 16. Tell stories 17 and 18 in part third. Number 1. What did David wish to do while he was king?
To build a temple to the Lord.
Number 2. Why would not God allow David to build the temple?
Because he had been a man of war.
Number 3. What did God promise to David?
That his son should build the temple.
Number 4. How long did David reign?
40 years, 7 over Judah and 33 over Israel.
Number 5. What does the Bible say of David as king?
He was the greatest and best of all the kings of Israel.
Number 6. Whom did David make king before he died?
His son Solomon.
Number 7. What did Solomon have through all his reign?
Peace in all the land.
Number 8. What did the Lord say to Solomon at night?
Ask what I shall give you.
Number 9. For what did Solomon ask the Lord?
For wisdom to rule the people.
Number 10. What did God promise to give to Solomon besides wisdom?
Riches and honor and long life.
Lesson 30. The Temple. Tell stories 19 and 20 in part third. Number 1. What was the greatest work in the reign of Solomon?
The building of the temple.
Number 2. For what purpose was the temple built?
For the house of God.
Number 3. Where was the temple built?
On Mount Moriah.
Number 4. Of what older building was it a copy in its plan?
The tabernacle.
Number 5. What stood in front of the temple?
An open court.
Number 6. What were the two rooms of the building?
The holy place and the holy of holies.
Number 7. What was kept in the Holy of Holies?
The Ark of the Covenant.
Number 8. What was in the Ark of the Covenant?
The 10 Commandments.
Number 9. For what was Solomon known throughout the world?
For his wisdom.
Number 10. What queen came from a far country to see Solomon?
The Queen of Sheba.
Lesson 31. Review of Part Third. Tell enough of the stories to help the pupils in answering the questions. Number 1. Who was the first king of Israel?
Saul.
Number 2. Where did Saul live as king?
At Gibeah.
Number 3. What was the name of Saul's brave son?
Jonathan.
Number 4. Who spoke to Saul the word of the Lord?
Samuel.
Number 5. Why was the kingdom taken from Saul?
Because he disobeyed God.
Number 6. Whom did God choose for king in place of Saul?
David.
Number 7. Where did David live as a boy?
At Bethlehem.
Number 8. What was the name of the giant whom David killed?
Goliath.
Number 9. Where did David hide from Saul?
In the wilderness.
Number 10. What people were at war with Saul and the Israelites?
The Philistines.
Number 11. Where was Saul killed?
On Mount Gilboa.
Number 12. Who became king after Saul?
David.
Number 13. What city did David take from enemies and make his home?
Jerusalem.
Number 14. Who tried to make himself king in place of David?
Absalom.
Number 15. Who was king after David?
Solomon.
Number 16. What did Solomon build?
The temple. End of section 3.